The new government has disarmed the people, and you must train your students in the arts in order to help the community and the people in Manchukuo. Hey guys, and thanks for joining us here at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sarah Meadows, and today we're previewing the game Manchukuo from Penguin and Panda Productions. This is from designer Mike Mihilsik.
It's a 2 to 4 player worker placement game that takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. Penguins and Panda Productions sent us a copy, so let's take a look at how it's played.
To set up the game, assemble the town and place the resources near each area and populate the houses with students.
Reveal repair cards and stack the 3 decks of family cards in the workers' quarters.
Place the patrol between the commons and the workers' quarters.
Give each player their school board and their corresponding disciples, students, resources, and restriction deck, and draw 1.
Place the round marker and first player token in the town square and fill in additional students for your player count, and then you're ready to begin.
On their turn, players will send their students into town to perform tasks and collect resources.
If the patrol is present, they may pay up to 2 wisdom to avoid gaining suspicion.
Once the suspicion track makes a complete rotation, another restriction card is drawn from their deck.
Players must adhere to all of their restriction cards or pay to bribe the garrison. Restrictions include things like not being able to assign students to locations with matching numbers or colors of students.
Once all players have placed all of their students, night falls and new students are recruited from the village.
Whichever school has assigned the most students in an area, the students in the residences will move to the school, and the other students are sent back to their masters.
Students assemble for class and are fed, and players may gain wisdom or suspicion.
Disciples are upgraded in skill level if they have enough students, and the board is refreshed for the next day.
Play continues, and after 5 days, the player with the most prominent school wins. Manchukuo is a beautifully illustrated worker placement game that is based on kind of a dark theme and really has you reliving a little bit of that experience of sending out your students to perform tasks, trying to avoid suspicion and being caught by the people who are supervising the city, and then trying to take care of everybody at night in order to be able to do it again and better the next day.
Yeah, some of those actions that you will take will include helping specific families with repairs that they might have in their homes, or to help specific families with some of their needs of taking care of them with food and money and such.
The board features this really great modular layout where everything kind of comes out around the board and has a really nice table presence. In the game, one of the most interesting things, I think, is the ability to upgrade your 3 masters at the top of your disciples. Every time that you bring students back of a matching color and you're able to bring in enough to exceed what's shown on the card, you get to upgrade that card, and then anytime you send out those students 2 at a time on the board, you get to take that additional bonus action based on your disciples' abilities.
Yeah, and if you aren't able to take that action, you can take a different action of sending a student with wisdom to one of the spaces on the board. If you don't have enough matching, you could do this instead, and that allows you basically to have an extra action at that location.
Like all good worker placements, you've got to feed your family at the end of the day, so you've got to make sure that you've got not only enough tools and resources and bowls of apples in order to be able to collect big victory points, but you have to keep track of that food as well so that you can feed everybody. And because you are changing the number of workers that come back to your town each time, you can be really strategic in making sure that you place out that extra worker so that you have the most in this location, so that you bring the most blue workers back. There's a lot of thinkiness that can go into each turn.
Yes, and thinking about how to upgrade those disciples. If you pay attention to where the different students are located in town, what you might bring back. But then you also need to think about when you bring back those students, you have to feed them. But if you get too much suspicion by gaining too many students, then you're going to have more restriction cards, and you have to follow those or have money to be able to bribe every single time you can't.
Right. It's a really interesting balance between, do I want to get a ton of workers to come back and work with next time, but knowing you're going to end up with those restrictions, and there's no way to avoid getting those. You can't, like, you can pay some wisdom up front, but once you get those restriction cards, there's no way to get rid of them. So you are stuck the rest of the game not being able to lay your 2 guys on a space that has 2 guys, or your red spaces on the red spaces. It really gets tight, and then you start spending wisdom and bribes really heavily. It's really interesting.
If this sounds like something you are interested in, you can check out Manchukuo on Kickstarter from Penguin and Panda Productions. And then thanks for checking out our other videos and subscribing to Tantrum House.
Whew, did it before the battery went dead even. Avoid drawing any suspicion to themselves because they'll pay heavily things. Melsic. Mike, how do you pronounce your last name?